Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Minds podcast. My name is Chris Chapman, and I am your host. And if this is your first time tuning in, then this is a podcast dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their business, personal, or career life. The way in which we help people do that is by interviewing really movers and shakers in their industry, which could be entrepreneurs, could be founders, could be people that have been extremely successful in their career. And we really walk through with these individuals how they have gotten from point A to point B and overcame various adversities, setbacks, and failures along the way. Because as y'all know, on the road to success, the road to a great life, there's going to be setbacks, failures, and adversities along the way. So I like to extract those learning lessons, because a failure is not a failure unless you quit. There's always going to be learning lessons behind the failures, the setbacks, the adversities. So I like to walk through those with my guest. We also have a Motivation Monday series that we release probably every 3 to 4 weeks, talking about various personal development topics. These are solo episodes ran by your own host, Chris Chapman, talking on the mic right now. And this week's episode will actually be a Motivation Monday episode, all about 3 things that will make you successful in 2025. But before we get into that, I want to reiterate my main goal, which is to truly impact over 1 million people by helping them reach a next level in their business, personal, or career life. So if you have not done this already, take the time to subscribe to Next Level Minds, share this episode with a family member, friend, or colleague. And if you're really feeling special, leave a review on Apple Podcast or YouTube and let me know what you think of the episode, because I'm always looking to improve. Now on to today's episode. As mentioned, we'll be chatting about 3 things that will make you successful in 2025. And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because right now, as we're about 2 months into the new year, this is the time where people really tend to just drop their habits, drop their routines, drop their behaviors, and ultimately put their goals and the things that were important to them about a month and a half, 2 months ago, into the back of their mind, and they ultimately forget about them. And I know this because I'm very consistent with my workout routine, and the gym continues week after week to get less and less crowded. There's less and less people outside running. There's less and less people posting on LinkedIn that I know that was a big goal of theirs this year. There's podcasts that I know that started in early January that haven't posted an episode in 3 to 4 weeks, right? So now is the time where people seem to drop the things that were important to them. But if you're listening to this podcast, I sincerely hope that's not you, because the Next Level Minds community, we are all about setting goals and achieving those goals. And if you are about achieving those goals, you're not going to forget about those goals 2 months into the year. However, if you are listening to this and you are starting to drop some of your habits, routines, behaviors, things like that, that's okay. Just continue to put your goals back into the front of your mind. Continue to remember why you are doing what you're doing. Continue to remember what will happen from an outcome perspective when you achieve those goals and the great life that you're looking to build. And frankly, keep listening to this podcast, because we have a lot of great guests in here. We have a lot of episodes about goal setting and habit formation, things like that. But whether you are absolutely crushing your goals or you're somebody who has dropped your habits, routines, and frankly forgot about your goals as we're about 2 months into the year, I think these 3 things will be applicable to really anyone and everyone. And the first thing I want to share, as we're talking about 3 things that'll make you successful in 2025, is having a locked in morning routine. I have found that having a morning routine is imperative for your success, because what a morning routine does is it sets the tone for the day. And without a morning routine, you're essentially just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks. However, with an intentional morning routine, you are setting yourself up as to what you want your day to look like. With the right morning routine, you're walking into the office filled with energy. You're walking into the day just filled with clarity and intention and really a lot more focus, rather than just waking up at, 10 minutes before your day starts, opening your computer, driving to the office, and then hoping that you're going to have a good day. There is no such thing as hope, right? Like, be intentional with how you want your day to look, and that all starts with a solid morning routine. And I'll share mine in just a brief moment, but a caveat before I share this: find a routine that works for you. Like, just because you listen to me and you're like, oh, well, Chris has been successful, like, I'm just going to do his routine. Well, that's not really how it works. Find a routine that works for you, which ultimately comes with time. Like, I'm still refining what is the just perfect morning routine. Like, I've dropped some things, I've added some things, I'm constantly shifting. So find a routine that works really well for you. And then the point is, find that routine, adjust course when necessary, meaning, like, if this habit's not serving you in the morning, then maybe try something else, and then stay consistent with that routine. So my morning routine, first off, it fills up the main buckets: faith, fitness, finances, my mental health. Like, all of the main buckets are filled from my morning routine, which is the intention of what I wanted my morning routine to be about. And so I wake up early in the morning, around 5:15 at the latest, get to the gym, get a workout in, or I'll go for a run outside. So I'm moving the body, I'm getting physical, right? Which helps you wake up, which helps you have more energy, which helps you burn metabolism throughout the day. And frankly, gives you a lot of confidence when you know that you're working out or you're going on that run when 80% of America is probably still asleep. To me, that's a massive confidence boost that you can take throughout the rest of the day, the rest of the week, the rest of the month, the rest of the year, etc. And so it's grounded, first off, in physical health, either a run or a workout. I get back home, and then what I like to do is dive into the spiritual side of things. So I open the Bible, I read, a few verses of scripture, or sometimes a whole chapter, and I'm grounded in that spiritual component, which to me, faith and my relationship with Jesus is extremely important, and it's impacted my life in a extremely positive manner. And so for me, that's something that I'm going to invest a significant amount of my time, and resources and efforts and energy into. So going from the fitness side of things, that's fitness, and then I'll go into the spiritual component. And then after the spiritual component, I will dive into reviewing my goals. So I'll review my annual goals that I wrote in 2024 for 2025, and I'll review those. And as a reminder, if you haven't listened to that goal setting episode that I posted a few weeks ago, go back and listen to it. And I break down exactly the categorization efforts that I put into my goals. But I review my yearly goals. It takes me about 2-3 minutes, and I just look at each category and kind of assess, okay, here's where I'm at, here's what I'm doing, here's what I could do better, things like that. And then what I do is I look over my affirmations. So I have some positive affirmations that I say on a daily basis. Again, I have an episode about this as well. Go back and listen to it. There's a lot of great nuggets in there, but I'll read over my affirmations, which takes me about 30 seconds. Again, what that is doing is reinforcing things into your subconscious mind. And when you reinforce things into your subconscious mind, you act in alignment with who you say you are, right? Because your brain has difficulty assessing between what's real and what's fake. And so I'm telling myself every day, I'm filled with confidence, energy, drive, and motivation. I am going to be extremely successful. I am getting closer every single day to building my dream house on the water. I'm getting closer every single day to becoming a multimillionaire. I'm getting closer every single day to building generational wealth for my family, right? So I'm constantly saying these things every single morning, reinforcing these things into my subconscious mind. And then after I read the affirmations, I will read over my why, right? I'll read over why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I think your what is extremely important. Your what are those goals, right? But it's also extremely important to talk about your why. Like, why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why do you want to make the money that you want to make? Why do you want to have the career progression? Why do you want that business to grow? Why are you doing what you're doing? And I read over my why, which is setting a strong example for others around me with my discipline, habits, routines, and behaviors and lifestyle that I am striving to build, showing others what the right actions can do for them in their lives. And then also understanding that when we individually get better as a person, set the right example for others, and live a life with high standards, then this country gets better. And I firmly believe we have an obligation to honor those that came before us, the ones that sacrificed their lives so that we can live in this great country. And we have an obligation to inspire the ones that are in front of us, right? That younger generation that's looking up to us, right? So I read over that, and then I read over, why do I want to make a lot of money? And why do I want to build a wildly successful financial life? And those reasons are, one, to not have limitations with what I want in life. Do I want to go to, Key West for like a whole month and sit on the beach and have a super nice house that I'm in? Yeah, that'd be great. But, I don't have an extra, what would that cost? Like 20 grand, 30 grand discretionary. I don't just have that sitting around willy nilly. Like, I'd rather invest that money and hit those goals, right? So I also want to create financial freedom, right? And that comes from being able to buy assets that generate cash flow. You need money to do that if you want to do it in the traditional way. There's, of course, creative ways to do it, right? But most of the time, you're going to need some cash to be able to do that. And then I want to create generational wealth, right? So I'm constantly like reading over these things, grounding myself in that morning routine. And then the last couple of things I do is I build out a power list, which essentially a power list is writing down 5 critical tasks. And this is from Andy Frisella, who you've heard me talk about before. He has a podcast that walks through a power list. So in no way, shape, or form am I mentioning that I thought of this idea myself. This is from a podcast that I listened to years ago. But essentially, a power list is 5 critical tasks that you are going to get done that day that drive you closer and closer to your goals. So I built out that power list while also writing 3 things I'm grateful for. And then essentially, I visualize for about a minute or two. I have a vision board on my computer. So I'll usually open that up, or I have it on my phone. I'll visualize for about 1 or 2 minutes, and then I'll eat a protein-packed breakfast, chug a bunch of water, grab a coffee, read a couple pages of a personal development book, and then by that time, it's like 7:45, 8 o'clock, I'm starting the day, right? And although that morning routine seems like a lot, honestly, I can get the whole thing done in like, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you're spending an hour and a half, 2 hours of your day to have an extreme, and that includes, by the way, driving to the gym and driving back, which is like 15 minutes. So 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back, hour workout, and then the rest of the things, reading the Bible, the power list, the goals, reading over the why, the affirmations. I honestly can get that segment done in like 15, 20 minutes. But point being is you're spending collectively 2 hours of your time in the morning to set up not only your day, but your week, your month, your year, right? Like, this is going to have a massive impact on how successful you will be. So point being is find that morning routine that works for you and stick to it, which brings me to that second segment here, which is consistency, right? Be consistent with the right habits. Write out those non-negotiables of what you're going to do every single day, no matter what life throws at you. So for me, it's physical health, mental health, spiritual health. Like, every single day, I will do something habit related to those things, right? Even if it's like a Saturday and I'm out of town, like, I'll still go to a hotel gym or go on like a 5-minute walk or do something that's going to fill up that physical health bucket. Same with the spiritual component. Like, I may not dive into, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of Bible reading, but hey, I'll open the Bible app and read the verse of the day and maybe watch like the 60-second devotional. And then mental health, like, I'll still spend some time. Again, it may not be a whole like routine of reading my why and visualizing on like these kind of days where I'm not working. So like a Saturday or Sunday, I may not spend 15 minutes reviewing my goals and all that stuff, but I will spend, 5 minutes visualizing or meditating, or 5 minutes combined between looking at my goals and visualizing and meditating, right? But the point is like physical health, mental health, spiritual health. Those 3 are my non-negotiables, no matter how I feel, no matter how tired I am, no matter how much stuff I got going on, no matter where I am. Those 3 are my non-negotiables. So for you, figure out what are your non-negotiable habits that are going to get you closer and closer to your goals, that are going to fill you up, that are going to get you fulfilled, that are going to make you into an absolute warrior who can accomplish their goals, and then stick to those habits no matter what. And then the other one I wanted to share was discipline, right? The other day, I ran 10.5 miles for the first time ever. Like, I've ran 10 miles before, but it was like a year ago. And when I ran those 10 miles, I stopped at like mile 6, ran for like another mile, walked for half a mile. Like, I ran the other day 10.5 miles, and the furthest I've done within the last like 3 months before that was 3.5 miles, right? So I literally pushed myself from going from 3.5 to 10.5. And once I did that, like, I was in a lot of pain. And for those who are listening to this or watching this who are big runners, you're like, oh, 10.5 miles is easy. Well, for me, who's never done 10.5 miles before, and the furthest they've gone in this training cycle, like, I've ran 6 before, but in this particular training cycle for my next run, the furthest I did was 3.5. So to go from 3.5 to 10 was honestly a huge challenge, and it took a lot of discipline. But I felt so good when I honored that commitment and I did this run, even when I didn't feel like doing it. And discipline is a muscle. The more you enact discipline, the more you do things that require discipline, the more you will be disciplined in life. Like, I'm looking back at my life 5 years ago, and I thought I was disciplined, but I was nowhere near as disciplined as I am now, right? And it's because for the last like 5+ years, I've been doing things that require discipline. So when you're thinking about discipline, just know that over time, the task may seem extremely difficult at first, but because discipline is like a muscle and it gets stronger and stronger over time, as you continue to do things that build discipline, that muscle will get stronger. And the same thing with consistency, right? Consistency with the right habits does take a lot of time, energy, and effort. But before you know it, these habits that you're doing just become part of your lifestyle. So as I alluded to earlier, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, those 3 non-negotiable habits. For me, those 3 things have become so ingrained in my life that they are now just part of my lifestyle. And that's the goal of what you should get to with the right habits, the right routines, the right behaviors, of be so consistent in them for the right amount of time that ultimately those behaviors that seem difficult at first just become who you are as a person. And that's the goal of what you should do. So that's why I wanted to share 3 main things, right? Morning routine, consistency with the right habits, discipline, and I got 2 bonus ones. One is also how, right? Instead of saying, I can't do this, or I don't know how this is going to work, or it's not possible, like, ask yourself the question, here's the goal. Seems difficult, but how can I do this goal? How can I accomplish this goal? How can I hit this mark? How can I grow here? Right? Constantly ask yourself how. And if you're struggling to find the answer, when's the last time you sat by yourself for 30 minutes with literally zero noise, like zero music, zero phone, like, and just seriously thought, how can I make this happen? If you have not done that yet, trust me, that can work wonders in your life by just sitting in silence for 30 minutes, writing down, how am I going to accomplish this? Next thing is who. Who can you surround yourself with? Whether it's physically surrounding them and going out and meeting them, or whether it's virtually surrounding yourself. When I say virtually, like podcasts, books, YouTube videos, things like that, who can you surround yourself with that's going to get you closer to your goals? So I have a list of people in my phone that are much more successful than me that I have access to through like in-person meetings, phone calls, FaceTime, things like that, that I like to keep in contact with. But then I also have a list on my phone of people that I do hope to meet one day, or maybe I have met one day, but like I don't have that relationship where I can pick up the phone and call them, right? These are like, 8, 9-figure, 10-figure entrepreneurs that I've had on my podcast that, yeah, maybe I can watch their YouTube video and Instagram, and maybe occasionally they'll respond to my DM, but like they're not in my inner circle. So figure out who that is for you that's going to get you closer to your goal. For me, I listen to a lot of entrepreneurial podcasts. I read a lot of personal development books. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on like sales and podcasting and just constantly trying to better myself. So who can you surround yourself with? But yeah, guys, this is what I wanted to share. Unfortunately, it's a time right now where people are dropping their goals, their habits, routines. And if you're listening to this podcast, I hope that's not you. And if that is you, go back and listen to those 3 core things, right? The morning routine, the consistency, the discipline, especially the fact about finding out why you are doing what you're doing. Trust me, that will drive you on the days that you don't feel like it. And then ultimately enacting that discipline, figuring out how you're going to do it, and figuring out who you're going to surround yourself with that's going to help you build that ideal life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a family member, friend, or colleague. Be sure to subscribe to Next Level Minds. If you're not subscribed to the newsletter yet, the link will also be below in the show notes. We write about faith, family, fitness, finances, and the importance of American freedoms. And then we also have the Next Level Minds podcast on YouTube, which will also be linked below in the show notes. If you're not connected with me on Instagram, Chris Chap, you can connect with me there. I post a lot of stories about personal development, goal setting, things like that. Otherwise, I hope each and every one of y'all that are listening to this episode not only continues to crush 2025, but also just continues to build an ideal, successful life that is important to you. Other than that, I hope y'all have a fantastic week ahead.